could you say your name and explain your role within NORAD and also your role within the NORAD Track Santa program?
Okay, my name is Colonel Dan Knight. I'm the Director of Manpower, Personnel, and Organization for North American Aerospace Defense Command. So I do that on a day-to-day basis. Within the NORAD Track Santa program, I've actually worked the program several times, starting in 2009. And then I'm a participant, and then in this case, doing some outreach to the community with regards to the program.
Perfect. And can't ask any questions without asking about the COVID pandemic and how that has potentially affected your guys' program. So speaking of that, has COVID had any significant impact on your planning for this year? We know last year the volunteers were significantly reduced. So just wondering how exactly your guys' operations center will operate on Christmas Eve this year.
So we have been operating in the COVID environment now for some time, and so we have a variety of different measures that we've taken in order to mitigate that. As you're probably aware, the number of callers is not necessarily going to decrease, and the number of participants, but how we put that on is definitely been affected. So we watched, we typically looked at 1,500 volunteers in like 2019. In 2020, when it came to answering phones, we had about 175. This year, we're looking at, 500 plus that are going to be answering phones, because that is definitely something that a lot of people, want. And we're committed to doing this. So our commanders committed to the NORAD Track Santa program and executing that. We've obviously leveraged, a variety of technologies with regards to providing the NORAD Track Santa information out, whether it be social media. We've seen a huge expansion with Amazon Alexa, and that's spiked. We expect that really to continue to increase most likely this year. And then also kind of distributed operations is what we'll call it, which we also did, with our command center during COVID, so that we could maintain our 24/7, 365 watch, where we have people that, there is the central database, but at the same time, they're at separate locations so that they can participate. So, we're using all of those. We have a little bit larger footprint this year based on, the COVID situation, and making sure that we can deliver the NORAD Track Santa program, which is, really important.
Yeah, it certainly is important, and it's great to hear you guys are pushing on and a little bit bigger and maybe more logistically easier for you this year compared to last year, for sure.
No, absolutely. We'll see how we'll see how it goes. But as the number of people that are interested in where Santa is on Christmas Eve, it didn't decrease. It probably increased during the COVID situation. And so, we're here and we're providing that, just using a variety of technologies in order to get that information out.
And also in terms of COVID, are you folks aware of any plans that Santa himself has taken to perhaps take on any extra precautions? I know many people around the world are just wondering if he's doing anything on his part to deliver gifts safely.
Well, I would say that, of course, Santa has taken precautions in order to make sure that he delivers gifts safely and takes proper precautions with regard to, the contraction of COVID. But you also know that no one ever seems to see Santa. I mean, our fighters intercept him off the coast of Newfoundland and with the CF-18s, and, they have that interaction. But, as far as, that close proximity, he manages to maintain that good social distance and kind of work through that.
Perfect. And you touched on it earlier with some of the Amazon stuff, but can you just briefly touch on maybe all of the ways that people from around the world can track Santa's whereabouts on Christmas Eve, in addition to the main website itself?
No, absolutely. I think, as we started off with phone calls, and like any situation like COVID, perhaps that's driven us to leverage technology. So we still have our 1-877 High NORAD that people can call in and talk to a real person with our volunteers that are going to be here, and talk to them. but then you can also go to noradsanta.org, and that'll give you that live feed that you've seen in the past years, and give you up-to-date information, as well as Amazon Alexa. So we saw that go from approximately 2 million the first year we used it to 12.3 million last year. So if you have that Alexa, you can just ask Alexa where Santa is, and that will provide you that live update, as well as OnStar. And then we have a Facebook presence, which I know you're familiar with, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and all of those together. We're reaching about 4 billion people. And then, we're using Amazon Web Services to do some of that distributed operations so that we can have all those volunteers, because for a lot of people that voice feedback is really important. And so they want to lean on that. And so we still provide that. So that's really how we've leveraged technology and used a variety of social media platforms in order to get our NORAD Track Santa information out to the larger audience.
Yeah, social media definitely has projected, I think, your program forward the last, I'll say decade or so. We spoke to a couple of people who were actually involved in the late 90s, who were some of the ones responsible for getting the NORAD Santa program actually on the internet itself. And just hearing the way they spoke about that innovation, it does remind me of how you guys are speaking about how social media has been such a source of innovation for yourself and in the last few years, and definitely through the pandemic for you guys to be able to keep people updated and to also keep growing the program and keep people coming back year to year. So that's incredible to hear.
No, it's been really interesting to watch as we've leveraged that, and necessity being the mother of all invention, and how the COVID situation has impacted that. I think that's it's pretty amazing, and the team here has kind of put their heads together and come up with new ways in order to move the program forward, and under some pretty challenging circumstances, both for the NORAD Track Santa and just from the mission in general. So it's been pretty amazing.
And you personally, how are you planning to spend your Christmas Eve? What is your day of involvement with the program itself?
Yeah, so my day of is going to be probably a fairly early morning start, and I'll come in, and I'm one of the volunteers that answers the phones. I'll tell you what, that's just an incredible experience for me to interact with people throughout the world. Probably, I think by last count, it was over 50 plus countries where people had called from, talking to them, the different situations. It's always great to hear a new location, and you talk to children and parents throughout the world, and tell them where Santa is, and of course remind them that Santa only stops at homes where children are already asleep, which is another key component.
Yeah, it's obviously you guys are mainly concerned with Canada and the United States, but it's quite remarkable how much that program has grown throughout the world. And as you said, you're getting calls from 50 plus countries, and I'm sure your website is getting hits from numerous more countries than that. So it's quite remarkable how global this tradition has really went over the years, for sure.
No, and it's great for us because our day-to-day, what we use on a day-to-day basis is global, and we're able to really leverage that. And so it's been great. And so watching that expand and watching the things that we do get out to the rest of the world, that's been tremendous.
Can you maybe just touch on perhaps what you think your favorite part of being involved in the program is, or perhaps maybe a story that sticks out from previous years that comes to mind that's one of your favorites?
Yeah, so I think for me, just the global reach, and being able to be on the phone, talking to children in many cases, and parents and grandparents who have called NORAD Track Santa for years on end. The excitement, which I think is inherent in Christmas and Christmas Eve and Santa, and just conveying that message and having a little bit of that joy. That is my favorite part. I think it's just an amazing experience to be able to share where Santa is on Christmas Eve with with people throughout the world.
And I guess in closing, is there anything else you'd like to add or say to our audience, as this will be airing on Christmas Eve itself, live on our broadcast?
No, absolutely. So, I mean, I would say that we really appreciate your support and your interest, and the fact that you take such great interest and provide this support and increase our outreach, because we think this is a great thing, and it's always good to find someone else who thinks that the NORAD Track Santa program is a great thing, and we look forward to collaborating and talking to you in the future years.
Perfect. Well, on behalf of my team, I'd like to thank you for your time today, and I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas, and also to everyone at the NORAD program, and hopefully you have a good New Year.
All right, absolutely. So Merry Christmas to you, and thanks again.
Thank you. And with that, I'll send it back to your host on the 13th Annual Tracking Santa Live Show.